Hebron is the largest city on the West Bank and was once the commercial hub of Palestine. But today, Israeli settlements inside the city center have split the old city and forced many Palestinians to move out of their homes. Hebron is a special case because it is a Palestinian city with settlements inside the city itself, but it is in many ways a microcosm of everything that is happening on the West Bank. As interns at the Danish House in Palestine, we went to visit Hebron to try and get a sense of how the Israeli settlements, checkpoints, walls and harassments affects a Palestinian society. And after having lived in Ramallah for 4 months and traveled most of the West Bank, it's still a very special experience to visit Hebron. Hebron used to be a Palestinian city under complete Palestinian authority. But due to the illegal settlements in the city center, it was in 1997 decided that it should be divided into 2 areas, H1 and H2. The Palestinian Authority now only has control over H1, while the Israeli military has gained control over H2, including most of the old city of Hebron. And the division between the 2 areas is impossible to overlook. No less than 21 permanent military checkpoints are placed between H1 and H2, with additionally 20 checkpoints inside the old city. Palestinians are no longer allowed to enter big parts of the H2 area, while the Israeli settlers can move freely in all areas. That means that the Palestinians have to make major detours just to do their daily errands. It also means that we have to split up with our Palestinian guide at some point, because he is not allowed to walk the same streets as we are. All of these measures are made because of around 400 settlers who live in the old city of Hebron. It feels tragic that this entire city has been destroyed because of only 400 settlers who had no right to be here in the first place. The network of checkpoints and obstructions in the city is making life unbearable for the Palestinians living in or accessing the area, and it's subjecting them to constant uncertainty and mental stress. Every simple action involves crossing a checkpoint, sometimes several of them, and every such crossing involves a lengthy, degrading inspection, with the soldier deciding whom to check at what pace and whom to allow through. Settler violence against Palestinians is common in Hebron, and parts of the market in the old city is covered with plastic to protect the Palestinians from stones, garbage and dangerous liquids being thrown at them from the settlers living in the upper parts of the buildings. These living conditions have produced the outcome Israel desired. Thousands of Palestinians have left the city center, and it has become a ghost town where only few Palestinians dare to remain. Entire parts of the historical city center now stand deserted in stark contrast to the bursting commercial hub it used to be. The settlements in Hebron are exceptional because they were injected into the heart of a major Palestinian city, and it is an overwhelming experience to see it with your own eyes and talk to the people it affects. But even if Israel's policy in Hebron seems extreme, it is essentially identical to the one employed in the rest of the West Bank. They are creating unbearable living conditions for the Palestinians in an area which are forcing them to leave, and then establishing Israeli control by expanding settlements and taking over land. So in many ways, Hebron is at the same time a very special and a very symptomatic case of the West Bank, and a very important place to visit as an intern or a volunteer at the Danish House in Palestine.